Oh, welcome back to another episode of my Atlanta Hawks franchise here on NBA 2K25. In this one, we're going to be previewing year three. We are definitely going to move very quickly through year three, barring something really unforeseen happening. I'm talking about maybe spending 3 episodes here, three, maybe four. In this season, I really want to move things quickly. Before we do so, I do want to take a little time to kind of break everything down. What I'm thinking about the team. Obviously, you got a lot of my feelings, but also just take a look around the league. So when I look at this roster, I think the thing that I'm the most excited about is we didn't get any regression out of Trey Young after we did the previous year. I think he may have dropped a little bit on his physicals, but nothing major went up on his IQ. Trey is still a great player, 89 overall. He is still the focal point of this team and this offense. We've got him for 3 more years, consistently with that going up. He was an all-star in each of the first 2 seasons, second team All-NBA in year one, third team All-NBA in year two. So he has been, a great player. The stats obviously dropped a little bit this previous year because of some better play around him. That was a mammoth year one that he had, though. I mean, a 28-point double-double average on the season. Efficiency was a little bit down all across the, between from the field and from the 3-point line. He was better at free throws slightly, but had a drop in his minutes per game, had a drop in his shots per game, I would guess, to go along with the efficiency numbers. Saw a big boost from year one to year two of Zachary Richichet, and the stats back it up, mainly from the efficiency. A nice jump here in his field goal percentage, a little jump from his 3-point percentage that was already pretty solid for a 19-year-old rookie at the time. Jump up in the free throw percentage, but also did better with rebounds, did better with assists, a little bit better with steals. Just consistently played a little bit better. Now, the per 36 was not really that much difference. Again, I feel like we had a really, really good balanced team, though, taking up a lot of these shots. So he dropped in his points per game on a per 36, but everything else was still up. And Ricochet then took another really big jump. You see here on his progression from a guy that was a low 80s now up into the upper 80s this past year. So we have seen big development from him. I think with him now being at 21, I think we can view him as the franchise player. Um, I think what I'm going to do is kind of come into these tendencies and try to get him to want to shoot more. Like, I think that's going to be something that's very important. We'll see who ends up losing some of that from that. But, like, I guess I'll do it right here while we're live. I want him taking a ton of shots. I think he is going to be that important for us this year. That to me is not like, I guess, changing his attributes. I just want him to be shooting the ball more in general. I think I personally view him as a franchise player now. 21 years old, somebody that we can keep around for longer. Trey is probably the type of player with his stature that is probably going to start regressing a little bit earlier. So Ricochet, I think by next year, is going to be the highest rated player here on the team. Dyson Daniels saw another really good bump from him, right? He's really improved over these last 2 years, really progressing into a very good player. Now, he's not a guy that's going to wow you offensively. That's not his game. Did drop down in his efficiencies last year, but is an excellent defender, is a good playmaker. He's good all over the court. He's just not an elite scorer, but he's an 83 overall or 84 overall. Just really rock solid. He did improve on his shot making again this offseason. So I think we're going to finally see that jump back, into this 45% from the field, 33, 34% from three-pointers, and all of a sudden you've got a guy that's now averaging close to double digits in points that plays really good defense. He's a great backcourt mate with Trey Young and with Ricochet, who's also a great defender as well. Jalen Johnson, not really progressing. I think we are in the midst of his peak, to be completely honest with you. He's 24 years old, did not really have a big jump in progression here at all. He's pretty much stagnated. So I think this is going to essentially be what he is. But that's still a guy that, has shot over 50% from the field now for 3 straight years. He has knocked down threes at least a 35% clip for 3 straight years and has gotten better at shooting free throws in each of the last 3 years. He's increased his points per game. He is an 8.4 rebound guy, 3.1 assists. Does do some things for you defensively. He's not great, but he doesn't give up a bunch of offensive boards. He's a positive defender on that side, all in all. Between the rebounding, between the defending, he's at least a positive asset there on that side of the court. Jalen Johnson is a pillar player for us. I think that Dyson Daniel has even put himself into that conversation at 23 years old. We got guys here for sure. Onyeka Okongwu, first year as a starter, was maybe slightly disappointing, but we're a team that uses a lot of Jalen Johnson to score and obviously a lot of Trae Young. This year we're going to look more to Zachary Richichet. So from a points per game perspective, Okongwu doesn't really hit that, metric. But he's a guy that almost had a double-double last year, his first year as a starter, and on a per 36 basis he did. He's done that the last 2 years, actually, including the year one coming off the bench. He's done it with efficiency. He's done it shooting almost 35% behind, from beyond the arc in year two. He's good at hitting free throws. 1.4 blocks per game was a really solid number, a top 10, I believe he was in the NBA this past year. So, again, crucial player for us. And he's another guy that's 25 or younger. And that's our starting lineup. And it's all players that I like. There's no hole outside of maybe Daniels not being a great scorer. There's no hole among this top five here at all. There's just not. Kobe Buffington, you want to talk about the guy that I came into this series with really no expectations of him being a player for us. He has now gotten up to an 81 overall. I don't know what his cap is going to be, what the highest of his ceiling is going to be. But he's coming off a year where off the bench averaged right at 10 points a game, obviously. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, was 3 rebounds for him is really good. And it came, the increased minutes came with an increase in efficiency from the field. The 3-point mark, definitely not a strength of his. Still good from the free throw line. His per 36 are down from an electric year one on like 5 or 6 minutes a game. But, year two here showed that he can be a player for us. I view him as, probably the sixth man for us. It'd be between him or Hunter as the sixth man, but I think they're pretty even, which, of course, brings us to DeAndre Hunter, who has at least improved enough scoring on the inside that is no longer a just complete void and hole in his game. Of course, Hunter's calling card is the fact that he can defend the 3 through 5, really more of a 3 through 4, could probably get away with a 2 every now and then, but he can defend all that extremely well out on the perimeter, and he can shoot the basketball. He has now shot at least 37% from behind the arc the last 2 years, improved his efficiency inside the arc, which helped him shoot, hit over 48%. Here in year two, 18.5 points per game per 36, drops down to 12, right under 13. But a guy that coming off the bench, 13 points a game, right at 4 rebounds, about an assist, almost a steal a game. With that efficiency, is a really, really good basketball player. 28 years old. We got him for a couple of, 3 more years. I think he's a crucial part of this team. Now, our big move this offseason was the signing of Austin Reeves, who is coming off of a pretty good year, between the Lakers and the Knicks. 17.5 on a per 36 anyway. 17.5, just under 5 rebounds, over 5 assists, with really good efficiency marks. Some of the best of his career. He did regress this offseason. Nothing crazy, but a 28-year-old that we have for a couple more years after this, I think is a really, really valuable bench piece. He was like the one guy that filled the need that I was looking for this offseason. Also wanted some better rebounding on the interior. We'll see what we got out of that. But Reeves, I really wanted a guy that could play shooting guard, um, be able to shoot for us, and knock down shots working around Trey while being another pretty good perimeter defender. He's a B plus from behind the arc, B plus perimeter defender, B playmaking. He fills a lot of valuable spots for us, even if he's a guy that's peaking right now at 28 years old. David Roddy has not really played a whole lot for us. He's okay pretty much at everything, but without a real skill set that I love, like a one calling card thing. He's a guy that plays the 3 and 4 at 6'4". Not really particularly crazy about that. Lonnie Jones was a first-round pick out of St. Bonaventure heading into the year 2 season. We took him at 21. Obviously, didn't play a whole lot. He had 1 point on perfect field goal shooting, so didn't play a whole lot. But improved a pretty decent bit here over this offseason. He's now into the mid-70s. I think he can definitely work as a member of our second team front court and get increased minutes this year, and that's going to be the plan with him. He's not overly ecstatic right now about anything going on, but he's a guy that is not going to be a great scorer, but that's not what I have him for. He is the guy that on that second team unit I want to be the interior defensive presence. Just 6'9". I wish he was a little bit taller, but a guy that's 6'9" with A, interior defense, A, rebounding, C+ physicals, he's at least okay there. He's probably about what he is going to be. A guy that can maybe do some pick and roll stuff, but anytime there's contact, he's not going to hit a lot of that stuff around the rim. But good interior defender that can rebound. Those are the two things he improved on the most. That's really what I need him to do on that second team unit, because the other rookie that we took is going to be a little bit more of the offensive blend, which is going to be Glenn Perry. A little bit more offensive minded here for sure. Not great on the interior as a 6'8" power forward, something that I'm not particularly crazy about. He's 20 years old, has B+ potential. I think we do continue to see him at least become a, maybe not quite a Jalen Johnson, but maybe somewhere in that range on the interior, but a B+ mid-range shot, a B- 3-point shot from a guy that gives you pretty decent interior defense. He improved on that. He's not a great rebounder, though. So that's where Lonnie Jones becomes so important with that second team front court, is that he is going to be the main guy doing that. That is not Perry's game. It is Lonnie Jones's game. So I think they mesh well together. Lonnie's a little bit better scoring on the inside while still having some ability to hit from the mid-range. Perry is a guy that can stretch the floor a little bit. I think they mesh well together. Both of them are pretty good defensively there on the interior as well. I think Perry is definitely due for more minutes this year. The efficiencies and everything were not great outside of, as a 19-year-old rookie from North Carolina, shot 75% from the free throw line. That, to me, kind of points to there being upside in his efficiency on offense. I'm looking for, if he gets to a 40% field goal percentage, maybe right at 30% from behind the arc with the increased minutes, I think that's going to be really good, because it's per 36 as far as the numbers just to the left side of the screen look pretty solid. It's just that right side. I think he's a guy that could be a 9 to 10 point a game scorer for us this year if things really work out. We signed Matisse Thybulle here to a very cheap deal. Really more of just a guy that can be a 3-and-D player off the bench if people start getting hurt. He has not been efficient, in a couple of years, really since his 22-23 season, and that's with very limited points per game. But he's got A+ perimeter defense, which is something I really care about. So what I was looking at when it came to Matisse Thybulle is perimeter defense. Can you knock down a shot? He can knock down 3-point shots. So thought it was worth it as a guy a little bit deeper on the bench. Is probably not going to play really outside of that, but that's the move there. Muhammad Guy, he's okay. He's a good rebounder, and that's going to fill a hole on this roster. 6'10" gives him good length for this team as well, but he's not going to be a guy playing major minutes for us. And J.R. Freeman Liberty here out of Cincinnati was our first-round pick this past year. Based on things I've looked at, Like, I think it would be a good idea to, I can't even like send him to the G League. Maybe that's just not something I can do right now. I just worry that he's not going to play a whole lot. He's more of a jack of all trades, a master at none at this point. What I would love for him to eventually become is use his athleticism as a guy that we can attack the basket with, um, as a small forward. Maybe develop enough of a three-point shot where he's not a lot of ability there. But I'm really just interested to see what ends up improving for him. I'll probably try to figure something out. But, if you can just become a pretty solid perimeter defender that can do a little bit for me offensively with pretty good athleticism, I think it's something we can work with. Obviously, he's a later round pick, or later first round pick. And he's got some developing he is going to need to do. Bit Krejci, he can hit the three ball. That's essentially about it. He has not played very much. He's not going to play very much. That's the bottom of our roster. So that's just kind of my initial thinking when it comes to our team. I would be pretty shocked if there was another team with more 80-plus overall guys than us, and you add in Reeves, who's right behind it. We got a really deep team that makes it hard to consistently find minutes for guys like Lonnie Jones and Glenn Perry, who have defined roles that I want them to be playing. So we'll just kind of click through. The Heat don't look very good this year. It's Adebayo, it's Harrow, it's Jaquez. Not really a whole lot there. They're starting to age with some of their certain players. Just, they don't look great, really and truly. They're not developing some of these younger guys at a quick enough pace. Not expecting them to be very good. Charlotte, obviously, the Melo Ball, Brandon Miller, two really good players. Miller has also really, really improved here in this series. They did pick up Jamal Murray this year, I believe. No, they got him heading into last year. He was really, really good for them. He was, for whatever reason, his morale is at least a little bit down. They have not been great in this series. Mitchell Robinson, you know what you're getting from him. That's all of their 80 overall guys. Tijang Salon. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say this guy's name. Kid out of France, 6th overall pick, heading into this franchise. Been okay. We'll see what his development ends up taking him. Got Nick Smith. So they got a couple of guys that I think can continue to progress. They're just not progressing quickly enough, really and truly. But there are pieces here on this team that I think are valuable, but they're not really ready for that next step. Utah Jazz don't really have that superstar. Keontae George is probably their top guy. Lauri Markkanen, good player, has peaked though at this point. Nembhard is a guy that gave us fits there in the Eastern Conference Finals. Really good 3-and-D player. Can really score from anywhere offensively. Taylor Hendricks, 22-year-old, developing pretty well there. Can definitely shoot from the outside, so it provides some stretch four ability. Fred VanVleet is starting to get up there in age. You're seeing the peak of him. Cody Williams, see what his continued development is. But he's definitely starting to come along there with solid potential. But again, don't think they're going to be that great. Sacramento Kings no longer have De'Aaron Fox in this series. Do have Sabonis. They got Mikal Bridges. They got DeMar DeRozan. Things get a little bit weaker after that. Devin Carter is progressing a little bit, but he's getting close to his ceiling according to his potential. Keon Ellis, solid player. Again, they just don't have a guy that I think you point to and you're like, yeah, that's like the next face of the franchise. I don't think they have that on this roster. If I were them, I would be looking to kind of blow this thing up, maybe try to build around Carter because it's a lot of age for a team I don't think is going to be very good. Now, the Knicks have some depth. They obviously have a superstar in Jalen Brunson. We swept them in the playoffs. I would say they're a good team. They have Jalen Suggs now, which definitely helps the floor of this roster. I think he'd be a guy that would have given us more fits. Having another player that could shoot from the outside to go along with Brunson and DiVincenzo and Hart. It's a good basketball team that I do think is going to be pretty good going forward. But we swept them, and we outplayed them in the playoffs the year before too, and we've had success against them just in general. So I'm it's a good team. I don't think it's great. The Lakers, not a very good team. Yeah, they're not very good. They're not. I mean, having a guy like Reeves would really help this team. Bronny is progressing, but how much better is he really going to get? Just C plus potential. Don't really know what beyond that. They're not a very good team. They need to trade Anthony Davis, try to get somebody to take that contract. They're not really anything else there. The Magic have had success in this series, but they no longer have Pablo Banchero, which is obviously a major hit. Still got some young pieces that you can build around here for sure, but having your best player no longer on the roster hurts. Luka does end up back with the Mavericks here, re-signed with them in the offseason. He's been excellent. He's dealing with a torn Achilles. He's going to miss the first couple of months here of this season, it looks like. Kyrie Irving, of course, still a superstar. This is a solid team. That's got guys like Jaden Hardy you can build around. Prosper, still developing. But starting to, your second best player on this team when everybody's healthy is starting to get up there in age. But it's a pretty good team. Derek Lively really helps the floor of this roster here. Josh Giddey leading the way here for the Nets. Solid, not that deep though. I think they got some guys that you can really build along with. They're at least young, so they're still improving. The Nuggets obviously got one of the best basketball players in the world in Jokic. No Jamal Murray. It starts to drop down here a little bit. Not crazy about the way this team is built. Obviously, you can run your entire organization through Jokic. Starting to get up there in age, though, who is the other facilitator going to be on this team? That would be the thing that I would be the most worried about when it comes to them. I mean, I guess Strother got that B- playmaking, but it's not a great team anymore. But they got Jokic. The Pacers obviously gave us a lot of fits. Super deep team. They don't have Nembhard anymore. See what Mathurin, see how he continues to develop. He's an excellent player. Obi Toppin, Jarris Walker. They got guys that are still improving. Halliburton obviously is coming off an MVP season. So you mix him with Walker and Mathurin with the mix of the two interior guys here in Siakam and Turner that provide physicality and rebounding and the ability to also stretch the floor. It's a really, really good team. The Pelicans have Zion. They have DeJounte Murray, of course, Brandon Ingram, Herbert Jones, Dave Rollins. So they're the team that ended up picking up Dave Rollins. He ended up going pick number 2, which is, I think it's a good selection for them. But we'll see how he develops. He should mix pretty well there with Zion. So, and then you got guys that can play a little bit out on the wing. I worry about where their next, kind of focal point is. Like Rollins and Williamson, I think give you a really solid foundation. This is a team that should be pretty good this year. I would think they would be pretty solid. But where's the next step, I guess? As Murray and Ingram are starting to get older, does Ingram stick around past his contract? But it's a solid team. De'Aaron Fox ends up here with the Pistons. I think it's a weird fit. Obviously, you could probably play Cunningham at the 2 with Fox as your 1. That gives you a really, really solid top 4 players here. So Abe Pickett was a guy they took number 2 overall in our first draft class. He had a pretty solid rookie season. The efficiencies are obviously all over the place with these young players. But yeah, behind him, De'Aaron Fox, great. Cade Cunningham, great. Ulster Thompson, great. So they got a really, really strong trio with young guys all around it that I think are really solid players as well. They're on the up and up. I would think they would be one of the better teams this year. Raptors, nothing has really changed for them. It's the same top 5 guys. Sheed is still there. They're okay. We swept them, though. I don't really love their mix with Barnes and Barrett personally, at least playing against them. I just don't think it really works. These guys have not been that efficient playing against us, but I would expect them to be a playoff team again. This is a really deep Rockets team, very similar to us, where they don't have that sure enough superstar player. But Amen Thompson has developed well. Jalen Green has developed well. Sengun has developed well. Jabari Smith, Whitmore, Shepard, Brooks, and like you got your veteran here in Brooks, to mix with this young like core group of guys. They look very similar to us, really and truly, except that Trey is our best player, being a little bit older, obviously. Um, really like the way that Rocket team is built. I forgot that Banchero ended up signing with the Spurs. So he is out for a large part of this year with a ruptured left Achilles as well. It's out for 2 or 4 months. But Wimby, Banchero, Jalen Duren, that is an outstanding front court. I guess Paolo would probably end up playing a lot of small forward for you here on this roster. He should be able to shoot enough to fill that role. Because obviously Wimby is going to be playing on the inside, and Duren is absolutely going to be playing on the inside. He can't shoot a lick. You mix that with Castle, who has developed well. This is a really good team. So they're right there with us as far as having the depth, but they also have the superstars at the top. Spurs should be the best team in the Western Conference, at least in my opinion, based on what we've seen so far. Suns have 2 top guys. Beal is definitely regressing. Durant is holding his rating, but is starting to regress. It's not really great, though, behind those guys, at least at this point. The Thunder, I mean, is there really anything else to say? They added Guy Peterson here with the first overall pick to go along with Shea and Chet and Jalen Williams. This is an elite team that is still, backfilling behind those superstars. Junior Curry is a guy they picked at 5th. He wasn't my favorite player, but is a guy that should progress pretty well. Deion Aldridge, the top point guard in this class. They had 3 of the top 5 picks and picked up the top point guard at number 4, one of the 3 best players in this class, and got Peterson at number 1. Then picked Junior Curry, who was my second favorite center probably in this class. We're able to get him as well. So they also picked Mauricio Sosa. I forgot about that. 10th overall pick. So they, and Akwugbu here, 25th. So had a ton of first rounders, really filling in that backside depth here on this team with guys that have some really good potential to be their next wave of superstars if they get priced out of any of these guys here at the top. Outstanding team. Timberwolves, obviously they have Ant, still have Cat. McDaniels has developed pretty well. Dillingham has developed well. Solid team. I would not see them beating the Spurs or the Thunder in the playoffs, but solid team. Trailblazers starting to get the depth along. They're starting to get the guys really progressing here in Sharp and Scoot Henderson. Ayton is holding his rating pretty well, it looks like. This is a good basketball team here as well. Warriors is Steph Curry's final year, one of the best point guards players ever. He is this is his retirement year. He's still Steph Curry, he's still outstanding. Pod here is definitely developing as kind of their next focal point, I think. Kuminga here as well. Not a great team though around it. Curry and these top 3 or 4 guys here are really going to have to carry this roster. The Wizards, obviously, they had Luther Towns, so they drafted him first overall. He was a generational talent. He's already up to an 87 overall heading into year 2. Among the rookies, he's had the best efficiency that I've seen so far, which is to be expected. A guy rated as highly as he is. He should be a menace for them. You're mixing him with Bilal Coulibaly, who has continued to progress, had a pretty solid season, needs to take that next step up. Alexander Sarr, for what it's worth, is an 86 overall, so right at the same level of Reese Shea. They were obviously the top 2 guys in their draft class. He has also improved. Kuzma and Jordan Poole are doing okay. Got to find the guys to go around Towns and Coulibaly. Sorry, I don't really know how to pronounce that name. That's just all the players. 76ers. 3 guys starting to age in Embiid and George, and you're kind of getting through, that beginning of Maxi's, peak being a player. Jack Wright was one of my favorite players. Tried to trade up and get him in that first class. He barely played for them and did not play very well there at all. should get the opportunity to play more this year. See how that goes. Not a lot of higher end talent. They drafted Conrad Monroe in this past class. See how he develops for them. Yeah, not a great roster there for the Sixers. The Bucks still got that main core. They're starting to get older, and this is not a great basketball team anymore. They have a great player. This is not a great basketball team, though, anymore. So not expecting them to be very good this upcoming season. The Bulls, no superstars. Not really a lot of excellent depth either. They got some guys that are improving, but this is not a great basketball team. The Cavs have their big core four. It pretty quickly drops after that, at least for, right now. Celtics have been dreadful in this series for whatever reason. Still have Tatum, still have Brown, still have Derek White. Holiday's obviously getting older. Porzingis dealing with another injury. They got Randall Alexander out of Georgia in this past class. Ended up having the third pick. Took him, should give them a really, really solid building block. They're at the top. What else do they really have that? They got some players down here that could certainly develop, but they have a ways to go. So really you're hoping that Alexander can come in and kind of help out immediately. The Clippers, the big three, not really, a whole lot else there at all for him. And even then their top three is not great players anymore at this point in time. Mark Williams is improving though. Let's see, Grizzlies obviously have Ja, Jaren Jackson, Bane. They got some guys here, but they're not a great team. Got some youth, though, so they're still improving. And then we're back to us. So, as I look at our team, I think that we lack, and maybe Reese Shea becomes that either this year or heading into next year. But, Trey is great at everything, but he has the weakness of defense. So we don't have the sure enough upper echelon incredible player. But I think we got guys to fill a lot of really solid roles. We're entering this season right now at the power rank 22nd. I don't know how accurate that is heading into every individual season. I do not see 21 teams that I believe are better than us. Personally, I think that we would be. I think we're a top 5 to 7 team in the league. I think that if we get a little bit better, play down low in the playoffs, I really, really think that this could be the year we make a run at the finals. That is my goal. So my goal heading into year 2, after the success of year 1 that I was not expecting to have, let's make the Eastern Conference Finals at least. We made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. We got swept by the Pacers. So after sweeping through our first 2 rounds, we get swept. Did we do enough? Did we improve enough to take on the Pacers? That's the key. That's the biggest thing. I think they're the best team in the Eastern Conference if the Celtics are not going to play well. They're very similar to us. They, just shot better than us, and they rebounded a little better than us. And that's really all it came down to. They were better than us over that 4-game stretch. They were better than us over the course of the entire season. We did have success against them in the regular season, but we didn't in the playoffs. But yeah, that is going to be it for this one. We will be starting up year 3 here in just a couple of days. If you enjoy the content, like and subscribe. Check out my other work on the channel. I got a Tulane Dynasty on College Football 25 still rolling, and I got a Seattle Mariners franchise on MLB The Show 25 going on there as well. Just take a look, and thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time. Peace.